We're back with County Commissioner Dan Claypool. Are you the president now?
I am the president this year.
Of the County Commissioners.
Yes.
And boy, go out and get the paper on the porch this morning, and the minute I pick it up, the headlines are saying that there's all kinds of things going on with the commissioners and the sheriff's department. What's that all about, Dan?
It's just a budget difference that we have, and we had to trim some budgets this year, and he's just not happy with what we had to give him.
He said it's personal.
Absolutely. There's nothing personal about this at all. They continue to point to me because, you know, they point back 20 years ago.
When you were deputy?
Yes, and when I left there. And the Star Beacon pointed that. But 20 years is just, it's absolutely ridiculous to think that.
Your life has gone in a different direction.
My daughter's been born, went to school, graduated from college, and is teaching school since that happened. So I absolutely have nothing to do.
Tell for the folks out there that don't remember, you were a deputy. I remember covering you when you were a deputy. And did Johnson cut you, or did you relieve on your own?
It was just, I was going to leave and he cut me. I was already going to another position. Everybody knew where I was going to go. You know, it's just, that's what happens in politics. It just, I understand that. Mm-hmm. So it's not like that I never understood what happened. It happens to a lot of people. It's a really dirty part of what politics is.
Yeah.
When new elected officials come in, they bring in some of the people that they surround themselves with, and that's what happens. It happens everywhere. Mm-hmm. I was a victim of that. I was upset about it, okay, but, you know, I went on.
Who wouldn't be?
You know, I went on. The county commissioners were gracious enough to give me a job. I was the 911 director. I was the IT director. I have absolutely no ill will against anybody.
Yeah.
And really and truly, I've worked in that department and around that department since I left it. So I have never did anything, and I don't think anybody could ever point to one single thing that I have ever did that would be personal against anybody. If I would have wanted to be personal, I would be running for sheriff. I would have never ran for commissioner. I say that all the time. I do not want to be sheriff. Never did want to be sheriff.
Right.
After I left there's a whole life beyond that department.
The story said that you cut not you, the commissioners cut $120,000 from his budget. Now, we went through this a few years ago when we were in bad shape and you had to make some cuts, and I think there were some layoffs or whatever. Are we getting back into that situation?
No, we're getting back to, we're very, very close on the amount of money we have to spend for services. And one of the goals that the county commissioners set out is we did not want to cut services, nor did we want to cut personnel. And when you have $20 million to spend and you have $21 million worth of requests, you have to cut somewhere. Mm-hmm. So he is part of that. His budget is one of the largest budgets out of the general fund. Mm-hmm. So undoubtedly you have to look at that budget. Okay. You know, and I'm sorry we didn't give the recorder the amount of money she wanted. We didn't give the treasurer nor the clerk of courts the amount of money they wanted. And it's just, that's just part of it. We cannot be fiscally irresponsible and spend more than what we take in.
Right. And as a matter of fact, we had a little technical problem here when Danny and I were just sitting down, and we were off a little bit. And he said, if I had $250,000, I'd gladly give it to that department if we had it. But he goes, we just don't have the money.
Well, absolutely. When he ran short in the fall, he was $230,000 short in October and comes over and says, geez, I need more money. All three commissioners, we took a deep breath and we gave him the $230,000 that he needed to finish the year.
Let me ask you this, Danny. How can you be $230,000 in the hole when you're supposed to be watching your budget?
I'm just saying that he was $230,000 short, and rather than make layoffs and be really drastic, we gave him the money. But that money comes from somewhere. It is not extra money.
Right.
And what it actually did is it came out of this year's money.
Oh.
We have a carryover that we use,
right.
And that we ride. We have to have that carryover, and that's probably the most difficult thing for people to understand is this carryover. you should carry over anywhere from 10 to 15% of your entire budget. Because as we go into the year, we close out the books, but we need a couple months of money before our revenues for that year begin to come in.
Yeah.
So it costs about $1.5 million a month to run the county. So we need around $3 million, give or take a little bit to run.
Right.
We had just over $3 million. We took $600,000 of that $3 million and put it towards 2014 services.
Gotcha.
Because we think that we're confident we will get that back, of people not spending their budget. But to take any more from that, you're just betting against the odds that you're not going to have that next year. And you have to have that.
Okay.
And it's really, you have to be disciplined and you have to be fiscally responsible not to dip into that. That's like your savings account. So when the sheriff comes over, or anybody comes over, we've had the prosecutor come over, we've had other departments come over and say, I really need extra money because of a certain event that occurred, we have to take it from somewhere. It comes from that carryover. The Board of Elections is a good department. You know, come June, July, and August, the Secretary of State will make a whole flurry of mandates for them for the November election that they have no idea that's coming.
Right.
They'll come over, and they have, they're very prudent with their money, but they'll come over and say, this mandate has just been done, and this year they're talking about mailing every registered voter a copy of an absentee ballot request. If they do that, that mailing cost comes back to us.
That's going to be pretty high.
It is. It comes back to us. And this is what the legislator and the people in Columbus do without thinking about any cost, how it shifts down to the local thing. But we have to be able, that's a law and that's a mandate, so we have to be able to cover those costs. But when those costs occur, we have to be able to make those up. So we take that out of our carryover, but we have to make sure that we have enough money to run the county the next year. So it's in the numbers. There's nothing personal about this at all. And you know, geez, all three commissioners voted for this budget. There were areas in this budget that all three commissioners didn't like. You know, we all have some different priorities. It's just, you know, it's like Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill used to say. If the best piece of legislation is the piece that neither side really likes, because you've come to the middle. And that's what we had to do in this. We had to cut $1 million of our request, and his was just part of that.
And did you just sit down and explain it to him like you just did here?
We've explained it to him. You know, Mrs. Carlo and our county administrator met with the sheriff. Every elected official gets to meet with the commissioners, and we go over their budgets line by line. You know, the commissioners don't run their departments. We give them one big number, and then they tell us where they want that money.
Right.
So we don't tell him how to run the department, but we, you know, so I don't want to, you know, I don't get into, well, I think he could cut here, or I think he could do this. He needs to run that department, but he needs to run the department with the amount of money we gave him. That's all. We don't have any more money to give him, and I understand the need in the criminal justice system for more money. And we have shifted almost $2 million in the last year from administrative costs to the criminal justice system.
We're going through that here on a local basis.
It just, I understand the need, but
if it's not there, it's not there.
It's just not there. Yeah, you know, we're at the end of the tunnel.
How's this going to end? I mean,
well,
you get banner headlines today.
That's part of what we do, I guess. You know, I didn't go to the paper.
Right,
I mean,
right.
That wasn't my first move, is to go to the paper and plead my case. You know, everything that we do is in open public meetings. The paper is at every meeting that we're at.
Right.
You know, I sat with our county administrator yesterday, and we talked about this. We showed him the numbers that we used. You know, there's just nothing personal about it. It's just all about black and white.
Well.
And I'm sorry that we don't have the money. You know, I'm sorry that we couldn't give the treasurer the money that she asked for to open her office up full time, you know, out of her general fund. Because
are there still offices in the county that are in part-time?
It depends on how it's part-time general fund, yes.
Yeah.
You know, she runs her department part-time out of her she has what they call a DTAC fund. It's the delinquent taxes, so they collect
Right.
taxes. But you can only spend that money on collecting taxes. So she has her
So
office.
she's limited.
So,
yeah.
so yeah, the auditor is still back from where he was.
Oh,
So
Call back.
there are a number of departments that wanted more money or needed more money, and that we just couldn't give them because it's just not there to give them.
well, you heard it here first, folks. I knew Dan was not doing this on a personal thing because I've known him a long, long time.
It can't be just me because there are 3 votes there.
Right.
There are 3 votes. There's no way one person can personally do this. And the commissioners have did one other thing since the 2009 meltdown of the economy, is we brought in 5 business leaders, retired, and we call them our budget committee, our audit committee. And they sit through this whole
Let me
budget
take
process.
this real quick, Danny. Hi, you're on the air.
Yes, I'd like to know, are we going to need another senior levy?
Yes, there's going to be, we're going to renew the senior levy this fall. That is our plans now.
How much of a levy?
We're not going to ask for any more money than what we're getting right now. We're going to ask for 1 mil.
1 mil? Would that be enough for the year, or?
Yes. Yes, we're not going to ask for an increase, but we are going to ask to replace that levy in the fall because it's due.
Okay, no, yeah, 'cause I was just wondering, they passed the levy, what, last year?
No, no.
Oh.
It's been 5 years.
5 years.
They're on
Oh,
5-year
5 years?
cycles, and it's due to
Okay,
expire
I
at
didn't
the end
know.
of this
I
year.
thought- So it's 1 year.
No,
No, it's 5
levy,
years.
wasn't it 2.5?
no, it's 1 mil.
1 mil?
It's
Okay.
1 mil, and
Thank you.
it runs for 5 years.
Okay, George, thanks. John Patterson was on the other day. He mentioned a Metro Parks levy too. Is that? I'm not familiar with that.
They're talking about doing that, putting on a levy to operate the metro parks.
Okay. That's not a given though?
Not that I'm aware of at this
I
point.
wasn't aware of it
Not
either.
that I'm aware of.
Okay. Good morning, you're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Pat.
Hi, Ron.
How you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yeah, I see you got the fire going there for you 2 guys. Keep warm.
Yeah, it's cold outside. What's up?
Hey, I got better about these the sheriff department that wanting money.
Uh-huh.
I live on Social Security.
Okay.
I want money too, but the government won't give me any raise. And they keep going. I got to pay taxes to cover what they're wanting for money, right?
Uh-huh.
How can I do that when I can't get a raise? And as soon as the levy is passed, the first thing that comes out of it is wages and insurance and stuff like that. And where's the money go? It's not going to help the people of the county. And the same with the city. These companies like the sheriff department, these commissioners, they give them so much money, what they want at the beginning of the year. They should be stay and not give any more money and watch their budget, like he said.
Mm-hmm.
And like you and me, if you take your money out of the bank and you keep spending it and you overdraw it, you're not taking care of your money.
Right.
You know, you're living beyond your means.
Right.
And I think that's the same way with the city and the county and the state. They're living beyond their means and they shouldn't be doing that.
Don't say the county now. That's what this is about.
Yeah,
We're trying to live within our means.
I think what he means is that the sheriff should watch his spending.
That's right.
Well,
No, and don't buy something you don't need.
Yeah.
And I don't buy anything I need because I can't afford it.
Right.
I'm living on Social Security. My wife's had heart attacks, and I've had seizures, and I've got eye problems now. And that money's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, well, put your money in the bank and save it for retirement. I did, and with all the co-pays I had to pay, it's gone. And I think that these county and the city and the state should, if they got a budget, stick to it.
Okay.
Don't go buying stuff you don't need. Okay?
Okay. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome.
Bye-bye.
You know, I want everybody to know that you know, I was a deputy. I know how hard that job is, and it is a lot more difficult today than it was when I was a deputy. I agree with that. I don't have any qualms with what the deputies make or anything like that. And I just want the people to understand that we would give the amount of money that we need or that he believes he needs if we had it. it just, there is nothing there other than we just don't have any more money to give them.
Let me ask you this, and you were there. 20 years ago, when you were a deputy and before, we have a lot of drugs and in this county, city county as well. Was it that bad back then?
No, absolutely not. And that's the big difference today that there was when I was a deputy. You know, we didn't have the drugs and we didn't have the guns and the shootings and the gangs that they deal with today. I mean, it's a whole different ballgame today than when it was when I was a deputy.
Right.
I am very glad I was a deputy when I was, rather than today. They have a very difficult job. All the police departments do. So I sympathize with all of them. And when I was a deputy, I used to look at the commissioners the same way they're looking at me today and say, you have all this money here, why can't we have some of that? And I didn't understand it until you sit there and then you see the big picture. You know, it looks a lot different from different people's eyes. And like I said, I would love to give them more money. That's why when the drug task force came to us last year, and you know, we had already budgeted money and they wanted an extra investigator. We gave them the money for an extra investigator because we realized how hard or how bad of a problem that is. So, you know, we're really trying and we're doing the best we can, but we can only do the best we can with what we have. That's all. And
Dan, I got to change gears here a little bit. Injection well time. I know you were in the forefront of trying to get some answers for this for us here. We have this injection well situation that looks like it wants to come in here. I don't know where it even stands now. It's been a while since I've got any updates, but do you know where we're at with this thing?
We are no farther than we were the last time I was here.
No, and that's a couple months.
I'm just as frustrated with the state government as maybe some people are with us. But I'm frustrated with them for a different reason, because they're just absolutely ignoring the local request to have a public hearing for that injection well and for that well in Windsor. We have used our state representative. We have two state representatives in our county. We have one, John Patterson, and we have a representative, Letson, in the southern portion. We have used both of those representatives. We have used our state senator, and we have even went so far as to use a state representative from the Mahoning County area, because if you read the newspaper, you know that they're having the same sort of problems with injection wells in Mahoning County. And it has all fallen on deaf ears in Columbus. I mean, no one is listening, and no one will even give us the courtesy of a phone call or a written reply.
I can't, you know, it's hard to believe.
I've never seen that before.
I have not either.
I've never seen that.
I mean, usually they respond. They won't respond to reporters, obviously, but a lot of times. But I've never seen a situation where they ignore public officials that are elected to office, that are representing the people, and they just don't seem to care. I don't get it.
I want the people to know that the city leaders of Conneaut, the manager, the council, have been working with the commissioners, and it is not their fault whatsoever that they don't have the answers, because they don't have them because the Ohio Department of Natural Resources is absolutely ignoring the requests that we have made.
Has any request that you know of been made to Kasich, the governor?
We have made them up to the director of the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, a cabinet position. And we have not heard one official response back.
For those folks out there that have been on this, I get tons of emails and phone calls on it all the time. I haven't lately, but what will happen, Dan, when, I mean, is it, would they just put the thing in then if we?
Yes, that's exactly what will happen is that if the Ohio Department of Natural Resources decides that they're going to permit that well, they'll issue the permit, and the locals won't even know until they start drilling it.
Wow, that's amazing to me.
It is amazing, absolutely amazing. I've not seen another administration with the process that they have in this one, where they absolutely ignore the concerns of the local residents.
When it first started getting reported that they were ignoring us, I thought, well, they'll get back to us eventually. This has been months.
Absolutely months. since before the beginning of the year, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah, it was at the end of last year or so, and this popped up at unbelievable. I can't believe it.
We have better results with utility rate hikes
Yeah,
requests than we are with this process.
Yeah.
At least in that process, you have a public hearing, and the people get to voice their concerns to the
and I think
PUCO about
you
these.
can ask for a public hearing.
Absolutely, that's what we've asked for all along, is to address the local resident concerns. That's what we want.
Good morning, you're on the air.
Yes, I'd like to ask Mr. Claypool, or I don't have an answer, he probably doesn't either, but if this well, I just got my insurance for my homeowners, and they're offering me earthquake insurance.
Mhm.
These earthquakes have been associated with these wells.
Correct.
Now, where is the liability at, where if this well does cause an earthquake, the insurance companies are off the hook? Now, can you sue the homeowner that has the well on his property? Do you sue the ODNR for letting them do it? Or do you take the loss?
I don't have an answer for that. I'm not a lawyer, and that would have to be asked, that question would have to be answered by a
It's a
lawyer.
darn
I
good
know,
question.
It is.
I understand that.
I don't know.
But it's something that, if somebody else, somewhere else, sustained this damage,
Right.
I mean, it's got to be somewhere. If PA can get out of it, there's got to be a way for Ohio to get out of it. It's probably money,
Mhm.
but there's got to be some liability
Mhm.
somewhere.
That's a very good question.
It is.
It really is.
I mean, that would be something that an avenue to maybe look into, where you can tell the people, all the people, including me, that if there is an earthquake, of course it'll say act of God, whatever it is, not the well, but we haven't had one that caused damage that the well did cause.
We did. Back in the late 90s, I don't know if you remember, there were a series of earthquakes in Ashtabula County, especially up in the Ashtabula Township area. And there was some severe damage in one of the earthquakes to utility water lines and gas lines and to some homes up there. I don't know what the outcome. I know, the county fixed whatever they had to fix as far as the water and sewer lines. I don't know about any liability that went back to the well owner, because it's very difficult for anybody to ever pin that back directly to a well owner. But again, that's a legal question that would need to be answered by a lawyer.
Yeah.
Right.
But we have had earthquakes.
We do have an attorney general of the state. Maybe he can answer that.
Yep.
I mean, if somebody's down in Columbus, somebody's making these decisions.
Right.
So if you make a decision to do anything, that gives you the responsibility of anything that happens with that decision. So, well, maybe the Attorney General's the next stop. I don't really know.
Good question. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye. Yeah, you would think, and of course you said this too, Dan, that it's hard to pinpoint that to the owner, but if I was the guy that was putting this injection well in on my property, I'd start to think twice. Geez, could I be sued?
There has to be a question that people have to look at,
Mhm.
is liability, if that could be pinned back to that particular
Yeah.
well activity. I don't know. I don't understand how you can put thousands and thousands and thousands of gallons worth of fluid down in the ground and pump it in and day out, and there's not some kind of movement down there eventually.
Okay.
I'm not a geologist, but I just don't understand how you can continually do that.
We were just talking off air a little bit about, well, I'll take this call and then we'll get back into that, Danny. Hi, you're on the air.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
Hi, Mr. Claypool. Congratulations on making the front page.
Oh, thank you, thank you. That's not always my will to do that.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, what did you do when you were in the sheriff's department that you were able to maintain your budget? Is there some advice you could give to the people there now?
No, it's very difficult to do that. It really is. And there were times that when we were there that we didn't maintain our budget either. There were just...
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, there were just circumstances that came up. But again, there were times when I worked there that we were severely cut.
Okay.
So, we had layoffs. We went through this whole thing. It's almost, a cycle. This Board of Commissioners doesn't want to do that. We don't want to get out there where we have to come back and make severe adjustments where we would have to lay anybody off. And that was one of our goals in this budget cycle, is not to lay anybody off.
Sure. Well, the time is so fluctuating. I don't know how could you even maintain a budget?
Well, it's very difficult, and I'm not, every elected official over there has circumstances that arise from time to time that brings them outside of their budget, and we understand that. But you can't go into the year just saying, this is how much money I need and I'm going to spend it and whatever happens, happens, because it isn't that way. We just don't have the money, the extra money to give people.
Okay, is it because there are more criminals and less taxpayers?
No, the crime is up. I give you that part of it.
Sure.
But a large part of it, believe it or not, is, we're over $1 million less in revenue because of what the state has failed to give the local governments.
Okay.
And that's why you're seeing the problems with the schools that you're seeing, the problems with your cities. Is back in the 1930s, there was an agreement made with the state when the state created this, I think it was income tax, and the counties were supposed to get a portion of this. And since the 1930s, that occurred. It wasn't only until this administration took over that they decided they weren't going to give that money to the local people.
Well, that's pretty far out.
I thought it was
They're still
too.
collecting the money off of us, right?
Oh, there's collecting
Oh,
it,
definitely, huh?
and they're spending more.
Sure.
Their budget is $12 billion more than
my
it was,
Lord.
and that's with a B.
Oh, boy.
So, I get frustrated every time I go to Columbus and I listen to how much money they're saving us, because it goes back to that whole thing. This is arithmetic. They're spending $12 billion more. I don't know how they're saving us anything.
I agree. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks.
And have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. The big thing that always pops up is jobs. Is there anything new on the front with Erie, Pennsylvania?
It's a plan that they're trying to work through, and they're trying to join the region into a big thing. But it takes a lot of time to be able to do that. And again, I come there, I've talked to employers. Our manufacturing jobs are up. We just added 100 jobs at International Paper. Our manufacturers, they're doing very well, and they're up. The problem is, and I say it every time, and we're working very, very hard on it, is job training skills.
Yep.
People need to get the skills of 2014 to work in that manufacturing industry. It isn't like it was years ago. There are skills that's needed, and I would encourage anybody to go to our one-stop, go to Lake Avenue, sign up, and get the job skills you need to get a job, because there are jobs out there and they are available. You just need to get some skills to do them.
I had heard that that's part of the problem why we have low employment in this town, because the job skills aren't there.
Absolutely. It's a skill set that is needed, even in the manufacturing industry. It isn't like you can just walk in and do the job today. It isn't like, you have a press and you're going to make certain things.
Right.
You may have 10 presses, and one person may be running those 10 presses, but, most all of our manufacturers are adding jobs.
Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, Pat.
Hi.
Good morning, Dan.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. This is Ken.
Hey, Ken.
Yeah. Hey, Dan. I know you for a long time, and ever since we was young, your parents owned their business.
Yes.
In Geneva. And, I've been raising up good, and one thing about you, you're doing a good job where you're at.
Well, thank you.
And, I don't know if you know me that well or not, but it's been a long time.
Yes, I know.
And I just want to say that you've done a good job. You and your staff are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you so much, Ken. I appreciate hearing that.
Keep it up. And take care. See you sometime.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Pat, you
Look
take
forward
care
to
now.
Thanks, Kenny.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Did your parents have business?
Yes, they owned a North Stern Tavern in Geneva.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for years.
Oh,
Yes.
darn. I never knew that.
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hi.
I've always been pro-police because of my background, and it hurts me to see them wanting for anything, but ultimately there's only one pie, and the taxpayers pretty much decide what that pie contains.
Uh-huh.
And there are so many fingers in that pie, within the community and the county and the state. there are so many things that can be taken out of that pie with those fingers. Something's got to go.
Mm-hmm.
And the state pretty much dictates what's going to go from that pie. And the commissioners are at the mercy of the state pretty much, what's going to come and go out of that pie. And there's only so many things that can be negotiated. And we, as community, have to go by those dictates. There's only so many things we can say. We can shake our little fist, you know, and stomp our feet and say, I want this, I want that. And in the end, we have to just give up the ghost and say, well, this is what it is. We have to make reparations and do what we have to do. And hope the next time around we can negotiate for a better contract. You know, with the voters and whatnot. We just can't start screaming like little children because we don't get what we want. This is the pie we've been given. And this is the piece of the pie that we have. I would like it to be better. I would like our police department to have more things. I'd like our sheriff's department to have more things. But it's just not the way it is with this pie. This is the pie that came out of the oven, and this is our piece of the pie.
Uh-huh.
So we have to start behaving like adults and deal with the hand we've got. I think Dan is doing a great job, and the commissioner is doing a great job. We just have to deal with the political pie that we've got. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for calling.
Thank you. She called in yesterday. Was building you up as well. So she must be a supporter there for you. Danny, the port here, one of our biggest assets. Debbie Newcomb mentioned that the other day on the show when she was here as the Human Resource Director, but also as a council person, and she wants to see more focus on our lake, which we've had, but she goes, you can always use more, and it's been a bright spot for our town. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things that we're working on is I don't know as though Ashtabula County will ever be in the heart of this oil boom that is going on.
Right.
We won't be a drilling center, I don't believe, and I don't want us to become a waste center.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we could do is, because of our ports, is we have been pushing, we've been talking to our state legislators, and in fact there's another group that has picked this up. We would like to see them build a large gas line to transport this wet gas from where they're transported down in the Youngstown, Columbiana County area up to our ports. They could use Route 11, they could lease space off of Route 11, and the state could pay for the highway. It would be a better deal, at least in my mind, than leasing the turnpike.
Yeah, yeah.
But use that gas line, and then there are so many different opportunities that could be used because all the drilling that is going on up in the Dakotas, they need part of this, and they're doing it by rail now. That we could ship this by boat. And you know, we have that diesel purification plant that they're in the permitting process right now, of doing. There are all the plastics and the polymers and everything uses parts of this gas and byproducts. It could be separated. There are so many opportunities that could be used with just this gas line. Yeah. It would even give us the opportunity of using natural gas then to fire Plant A instead of a fossil fuel.
Right. So, right. Interesting concept.
Just talking about that too, one of the things that I'm really sort of excited about, and a lot of people may not be, is, you know, I got involved in this wind turbine project off the coast of Cleveland to build this. We are so close right now of moving ahead with that. I really thought it was dead a year ago, and we were able to. I haven't heard
much about that lately.
Well, we just submitted our last grant cycle to the Department of Energy, and our governor gave us a letter of support. They've did a number of different things to help us. I really do believe that you're going to see that pilot project become a reality in 2015 off the coast of Cleveland. I really believe that.
That's soon.
Yes, yes. Wow. They will start construction in 2015.
Amazing.
It is. That's a $140 million project.
Yeah, yeah.
And Ashtabula County is part of it. That's why I'm so excited about it, because that could open a whole new avenue for manufacturing or jobs. There was always estimated about 6,000 jobs that would develop out of this project. So I'm really excited if this thing goes forward. I think it's going to be a big move forward for Northeast Ohio.
That'd be super.
Absolutely.
As you know, Dan, and are you a fisherman?
I don't fish very much. No, my
I
father
used
was.
to. Yeah, I used to, but I haven't a lot lately. But boy, I'll tell you what, the fishing business here in Conneaut in the summertime, spring, summer, and fall is fantastic.
Oh.
Even Conneaut Creek, a lot of fishing out there.
People come from all over the United States
Yeah.
to fish Lake Erie, the Conneaut Creek, the Grand River. You know, we're so fortunate that, you know, and I know we just all take it for granted to have 3 scenic rivers in our county. That is just so special to have. We are so lucky to have a number of things that we have. You know, we have the trails, you know, we have our parks. You know, Conneaut has one of the most beautiful parks in the county. Really, where would you ever be able to replace Conneaut Township Park?
Right.
You know, in this day and age, that is just would be impossible. And we need to treasure and invest and maintain that space, because 20 years from now, you know, as we're sitting there retired, and we're sitting on that bench looking out over that lake,
Right.
It's our job to protect that today.
You know, you and I go back a while, and probably 30 years ago, maybe even before that, we had maybe 1 or 2 wineries that were in business. Boy, we've got a bunch of them now that are doing tremendous job out there producing wines. I'm hoping that the wine industry didn't get hurt in this county because of the winter that we had. But you know, they've sprouted up, and they've done a tremendous business here in Ashtabula.
Well, it is. It's amazing. You know, people don't understand, but that's a $400 million a year industry is tourism for us. You know, and people look at tourism, but I just came from the South. You know, that's what they depend on.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
you go down into the Keys or the southern part of Florida, it's all about tourism there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're the same way.
They advertise
we're
up
just,
here.
We're just taking that advantage of it in our summer things, and there are things that people are developing in our winter months now, and what they call the shoulder season, to extend that for us. So we can't let that go. That is a big part of our economy in Ashtabula County.
We had Mark Winchell on here a couple of weeks ago. He's such a positive guy.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Hi, you're on the air.
Hello, Pat.
Yeah.
It's Sheriff Johnson.
Hi, Sheriff. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Just to let you know, I can't pick up your show here, but I wanted to let you know I'd be very interested in coming on your show and discussing about the Sheriff's Department's operation, the budget, any question that people might have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can do that. Are you available Friday?
Sure.
Okay, stop in Friday. We'll get you on.
Okay, what time?
8:39, somewhere around there.
Sounds real good. I'll be there.
You know, Mr. Claypool is with us right now.
Okay?
And he said that it's not a personal attack against you in your department, that if you had $250,000, he would give it to you. Any comment on that?
Well, like I said, I'll answer them particular questions on Friday, but yeah, I think there's money there, and we're not trying to bankrupt anybody, and we have a difference of agreement on it being there and why I'm not getting it.
Okay. Okay. We'll talk about it Friday then.
Okay.
Thanks,
See you
Billy.
then.
Bye-bye. Did he know you were here?
I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, no. Everybody has a side, you know, and everybody has a set of eyes that they look through. And you know, I'm just trying to be as honest as I can. You know, I'm president of the board, so I'm actually talking on behalf of the board.
Sure.
You know, this was a board decision. It wasn't a Dan Claypool decision.
Right.
So there's months of work that goes into this budget to make sure that it's as fair and as equal as possible. Again, you know, there's some things that we have to do, whether we like to or not. You know, when our courts come in and they journalize their budget and they say that we want $1,100,000 and some thousand or 1.3 million, we have to give it to them.
Right.
So those are the difficult things sometimes in doing a county budget. But yeah, I would encourage people to tell their side of it. I don't have any problem with that at all.
Very good. Great hour here, Danny. Answered a lot of questions. You're very open with an open door policy, as you usually do. I'm kind of taken back on that photo there,
Wow.
but that's fine. We certainly want to give the other side of the story too.
Oh,
you know.
absolutely,
You know.
absolutely. I don't have any problem.
Yeah. What else is coming up? Anything before I let you go?
There's a lot of things. You know, the commissioners are working on this mutual safety public answering point. That you know, we're going to try and revise our 911 system and update our EOC and do things. And we think that we'll have an opportunity to help some of the local departments with their communication needs and things. So that would be a big project that Mrs. Carlo's working on. And
Good.
maybe you could get her in here to talk about.
Yeah,
that.
we definitely.
Yeah.
Would you mention it to her?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good project that she's been working on, and she has a lot of time. She was able to go out and get a grant to get this study done, and we're just about ready. She was very frustrated because she doesn't have the study on her desk yet, but but she's been working hard on it, and so yeah, would be a great topic that we believe that's going to help the entire county.
I remember when you worked for 911 many years ago, actually. About what, 15 maybe?
Oh, longer than that, but we'll say 15, but go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I remember you working on that, and then something came up, and you explained it to me at one time, which was reverse 911.
Yes.
I think it was. Is that still? Do they still?
Absolutely. They're yes. It's actually more sophisticated today than it
Is
ever
it?
was. Oh yes. You know, we thought 911 was great when we got a phone number.
Right.
But we can actually now within a millisecond take a cell phone and actually track it down the road on a map. So we know exactly where that cell phone is at, and it's just amazing what we can do with maps and pictures and the GPS that we have. We can put a safety unit within 10 feet of a driveway point. It just is that amazing. Where
I remember you calling me one time and saying that you wanted people to make sure they had their addresses
that is a big key.
And when we moved to Lake Road in North Kingsville, that was the first thing I did, because you don't know if you need an ambulance, you want to make sure they can get there and find it.
Oh, absolutely. If you're in the middle of the night trying to find an address, it is very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And especially if there's an emergency there and you're trying to find it quickly.
Right.
And our county's not the best in addressing. We're getting better at it, but GPS has eliminated a lot of that. But still, it's so advanced today compared to what it used to be when I was there.
Well, the technology has gotten big. I mean, who would have thought we'd be messing around with these tablets and stuff?
Absolutely. Like I said, a dispatcher could actually look today and actually look at a picture of your house and tell me how many houses from the corner it is, and the next generation is they can actually look at your house and spin it around and say how many doors and windows are in it.
Exactly. It's amazing how technology has gone.
So,
Dan, I want to thank you so much for sharing your time with us this morning. Do you have a meeting today?
I have meetings today, but not a county commissioner meeting.
Do you just do one now?
Yes.
Okay.
We have work sessions throughout the week.
Right.
But we have just one official meeting. Yes.
What days are they?
Tuesday at 1 o'clock.
Tuesday at 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you. Get a hold of me so we can do this again next month if you could.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Maybe around Easter time or
Sure.
something like that. Okay.
Thank you very much for letting me come.